Hey there guys, welcome back, Ricky here. So the next question we have here is from Henry, is that Holib? So hey, love the videos, but I have a question. Sometimes the side of my knife gets small scratches from whetstone sharpening. Is there a way to remove the ones that are there? Also, do you have any advice to circumvent scratching? Okay, so Henry, thank you for the question. The first, see, it doesn't really matter here. Okay, so this knife here, this is a Dow Strong. This knife here I've had now for over a year in my, well, about a year in my studio, and it has a number of scratches. Not very aggressive scratches though, so I do most of my sharpening on whetstones. And so if you look at this knife here, okay, so this knife here is the Dow Strong 8-inch Shogun, and it's got some very hazy scratches on the left side of the knife. And so if you look really closely here, you can see that there are scratches that looks like just a light haze that runs from, I would say, it's in the middle third of the knife. And that's very normal. That happens when you lean the knife, the spine of the knife, too shallow or too close to the stone. And so to mitigate that, yes, you simply raise the spine off the stone a little bit. There's also another type of scratch which I will show you from another knife. And this knife here, oh, here we go. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, you might be able to see it right above my index finger here. I'm try to give you guys a better angle. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Alright, see those scratches right there? Those hairline aggressive scratches. Camera's out of focus. Okay, so those hairline aggressive scratches has more to do with using things like honing rods. So whetstones can do that, but I think this is more of a honing rod because of the way that the scratch pattern looks. It looks like it has a kind of like a swoosh-like motion to it. I'm pretty sure this was actually done on a honing rod. So same thing with a honing rod. Honing rods actually are much more likely to scratch your knife than a whetstone would, because on a honing rod your hand actually moves, or the hand that's holding the rod actually moves sometimes. And I myself find myself scratching my knives at the very tip, top quarter of the knife or top quarter inch of the knife, because I tend to, with the honing rod, because I don't use it very often, sometimes if I'm in a rush and I don't have the rod planted, I will actually pull the knife down on the rod, and the last half inch of the knife or so will actually kind of not fold in, but kind of run itself along the rod. So that's very common. If you're sharpening at a point where you actually are creating a lot of scratches on the bottom belly, or the, I would say the inch, or within a half inch or inch of the cutting edge, your angle is way too low. Or what you're doing is you actually are flexing as you're sharpening. So as you're sharpening, you're not keeping a very stable hand, and that's also very common with beginners, and even myself every once in a while. Definitely in the beginning, that was a problem. And we tend to not be able to kind of stabilize the knife very well. So my advice is to adjust your grip a little bit. Find a grip that's very stable for you. So this is the grip that I use. You simply bring your middle finger up to your choil, and you can have your first, I guess, metacarpal. It's metacarpal, metatarsals. Metacarpal's hand. So I think. So you can bring this area to your choil. This is what I have here, and then you bring your thumb down. And then your index finger, bring it up. So that's the grip I have. And if you have a really long knife, what you can even do is use your ring finger as that as the first point of contact, and then your thumb will automatically go about an inch higher. So now you have a slightly adjusted grip on this knife. You have a middle finger that can sit back here if you wanted to, and your index finger is still at the spine. But now this gives you a lot more control for a knife that is a lot longer than what we have here. So I always look for things to kind of play around with and see if it works. Try the grip, adjusting your grip a little bit, but most importantly, raise the spine off the whetstone just a hair. I know that it's very tempting to want to sharpen the knife at a very steep angle, something like 10 degrees or 9 degrees. Certain knives can handle that, but if you are new to sharpening, keep it more of like 15 degrees. Make it more easy for you to learn on, and you're less likely to damage your knives. And the first part of the question is, can you remove the scratches? If you have a Damascus cladding knife, no, not really. You can remove the scratches, but you'll also remove a lot of the cladding on your knife, or it'll just make it look really funny and real, kind of real. I haven't done it on this knife here, but it would basically, what you'll get is more or less of what you see here. So you see how this hazy looks? This is just from damage on the whetstone, and this is just going back and forth on the whetstone over many months. So that's what your knife would look like if you tried to remove these scratches from the profile of the knife. So don't do it. I know it stinks, but if you have a knife that is not a cladded knife, more a monosteel knife, or even a cladded, but the cladding is not a Damascus, you can definitely do that. Start with, the easiest way is to go buy steel wool. You can go like, what's that, single knot, double knot, triple knot, and 4 knot, basically 0 with the hashtag sign. 3M started hashtags. Whoa, it kind of just occurred to me right now. Yeah, so you can, that's the cheapest way. You can buy a pack of those for like 3 or 4 of those for like $1 at your local hardware store. So just scrub that way and go and progressively get finer. You can also use other more expensive products, but I would definitely start there first and see how that works for you. But again, that's, it's all a part of learning. Your knives will get scratches on them. Don't worry about the scratches too much. You can spend more money trying to remove scratches and spend more time trying to remove scratches instead of learning how to sharpen properly. So my best advice to you, don't remove the scratches right now. Let them be there, because you're gonna have more scratches on your knives over time. And so once you get to the point where you are very comfortable, and you'll know when that time is, there will be a day when you just simply pick up a knife and you can say, I can sharpen on any stone, and your angles will be perfect with every stroke, and you won't have anything wrong with your technique. And at that point, then you can look at some, restoring and recovering some of the beauty of your knives. But in the very beginning, when you're learning, don't worry about the scratches. Okay? Thank you for the question. Alright, so the next question that we have here is from Edward Bobrick. And the question is, hi Ricky, hashtag question. New favorite splash and go stone. This session reminded me you never replied on AUS10 versus VG10. No major changes, doing DIY renovations. See you in the next restoration. Okay, so Edward, the question is, what is my favorite splash and go? And then difference between AUS10 and VG10. Okay, so my favorite splash and go, I have a number of stones that I really enjoy, and one of the favorite, if I had to pick a top stone for a long time, if you guys have watched my channel, this is kind of a difficult question, not because I'm trying to avoid the answer, but I find myself, picking a single stone is really difficult, and every stone is different. Every person who needs a whetstone are gonna want stones for different purposes, and so I will name a number of stones, and it'll help you kind of understand why I'm naming them that way, or not why I'm naming more than just one stone. My favorite sharpening splash and go was always the Trocera 800. That has been my favorite stone with anything under 3,000 grit. Very fast, very responsive, and just a really good stone, very slow to wear. And my favorite polishing stone in the low polishing was the Trocera 3000. Really wonderful stone. That was my pick of the year in 2017. I think I did a video where I picked one stone, and that was the stone. If I had to pick one stone, I definitely would say that the Trocera 3000 is up there. And I have to be careful with what I say, because I can come off overselling a product. So I really don't want to sound like that, and because I'm not representing any brands or any manufacturers on my channel. I hope you guys understand that I'm not paid by anyone to do my reviews. I'm not sponsored. I don't work for any of these companies that I review products for. This is the Suhiro Debato MD 1000. Is it? Yeah, here we go. So again, Suhiro has really bad numbering systems, but this here is the 1000 grit stone from their Debato MD line. It is a fantastic stone. It is a splash and go. That was a huge surprise to me, because Suhiros have always made really nice soaking stones. Their CRX 1000 was definitely one of my favorite soaking stones ever. It still is. This one here is essentially a CRX 1000 in a splash and go form. I really like it. It's very nice, very responsive, very fast cutting, and very dense and also very big as a stone. This here, I definitely will say that it's almost as good, if not as good, as a Trocera 800 and 1000. I think that it probably is my pick over the 1000, but I will compare it to the 800. It definitely feels a little bit more refined than the 1000. Probably the same speed as 1000, and definitely has the feedback of the 1000. The 800 to me is a standard when it comes to a sharpening stone, so I will do a side-by-side comparison between this and the Trocera 800. But I can tell you that as a stone, just by itself, this is a really fantastic splash and go stone. And I'm really happy to see another manufacturer such as Suehiro, a major manufacturer, come up with really nice quality splash and goes. So I don't want to name this as my favorite stone right now because I've just started using it really just a few weeks ago. But in terms of in terms of raw performance, it is a really wonderful stone. So nothing bad to say about the stone yet, and so I'll do more videos on it, really give you guys a better picture of this stone, and I definitely will do a side-by-side comparison of this and the Trocera 800. So Edward, my favorite sharpening stone is the Trocera 800, and my favorite low polishing stone is the Trocera 3000. If I had to pick one stone I cannot live without, the Trocera 3000 is definitely up there, but the new Debato line are actually pretty incredible as well. So I will have more videos on these stones, and I'll give you guys a more complete picture of my top picks for 2018. So Edward, thank you for the question. Oh, so the other part of the question is AUS10 versus VG10. So this is a little tricky. I'm not sure exactly what knife you are referring to because Shun also makes AUS10 knives and VG10 knives, and you might be referring to the Dalstrong. Dalstrong is sending me their new AUS10. Oh, so this knife here is the Dalstrong Shogun X 8-inch VG10. They do have the exact same knife that has the AUS10 steel, and I think it's AUS10X or something like that, or whatever. I forgot the designation exactly, but it's a newer version of this knife. It's got the same profile. Everything's the same handle, same cladding, and same Tsuchime finish. The only major difference is the core steel is no longer using VG10; it's using AUS10. Heat treated to a 62 to a 63, which is high for AUS10. The differences I've noticed in the past, I really can't. It won't be valid for this video because they were actually different profile knives and they were actually heat treated to a very different number. The Shun Kanzo is AUS10 and heat treated only to a 60 or 61. So it wouldn't be fair to compare that knife to this Dalstrong here with the VG10. Heat treated to a 62. So I will do a video on that. I am getting another sample of the AUS10 from Dalstrong of this updated knife. I want to say I have a unsharpened out of the box sharpness of the Shogun X with the VG10 steel. So once the AUS10 version gets here, I will do a side-by-side cut test and show you guys the edge retention difference between the two steels. But again, we'll see. Hopefully that'll be here within the next few days or so of you guys seeing this video. Alright, so Edward, thank you for the question, and let's move on. Okay, so this question here is by Ivan Maholik. It's a question regarding your list of budget stones. Is it the same for higher, lower grits? I mean, is the Trocera 3000 still better than Suehiro 3000, and by how much? I'm looking for a slightly higher grit because I plan to sharpen my knife weekly, so there is no need for a 1000. Keep up the awesome work. I'm sorry for bad English. It's not bad, Ivan. My reading is just bad. So okay, so the question is really maintaining your knife with a 3000 grit stone, which is fine. So the question is, how much better is a Trocera 3000 than the Suehiro 3000? Okay, so the Trocera 3000 is to me one of the best stones you can use to sharpen and to polish your knife with. More of a polishing stone, but it's one of the very few polishing stones that can actually be used as a sharpening stone as well, and definitely good enough for a daily maintenance stone, weekly maintenance stone. And the question is it better than the Suehiro 3000? The sharpness of your knife has everything to do with you and your own skills. So I always want to stress the fact that you need to hone your skills to buy very expensive product, and that's because you guys have seen me sharpen knives on bricks that have gotten pretty. Some people will say razor sharp, which I would agree that the knives do get fairly sharp on a brick. You know, you don't really have to have the best tool out there to get sharp knives. The good stones and good knives will definitely be more enjoyable to use in the long run, that is for sure. But in terms of your daily maintenance stone or your weekly maintenance stone, it doesn't really matter which stone you go with. Go with the one that you can afford. That's always my first advice to you. Go with the best you can afford. So if the best stone you can afford is the Trocero 3000, go for that. Between the two stones, I mean, it really depends on what you like. They are both great stones. You really can't go wrong with either. If I had to pick one stone just off the top, just from experience, I would say the Trocero 3000 would be my pick because I've used it a lot now, and it's a stone that has never let me down. In this case, really honestly, go with the stone that you can afford, and don't listen to my advice, you know, on everything, because there are plenty of people who have very good advice, who have a lot more experience than I do. Your second comment about not needing a 1000 grit stone, that might be true in the short term, but after a little while, I don't know exactly how long, depending on the hardness of your knife and depending on your sharpening habits, a 1000 grit whetstone is definitely something that you should consider. If not a 1000, get something a little bit coarser, like a 400 or 500 for your correcting. You know, you will need to flatten the knife at some point, probably a few years down the road, but also depends on how often you sharpen your knife. If you sharpen your knife once a week and you do a very good job of just polishing it with the 3000, you probably can last for a few years. But if you have a softer steel knife, or if your knife gets damaged in between now and the next year, you might need a slightly coarser stone for correcting the chips or any cracks that develop on the cutting edge. So consider a coarser stone. A 320, a 400, a 500 will do. Alright, so Ivan, thank you for the question. So a lot of you guys have been asking about Yanagi knives and how to polish them and how to strop them. So I decided to put together a little test series of Yanagi knives. And so I've been testing some different compounds. Let me show you what I have. And these are actually going to be up for grabs because I've just finished testing them. I've told you guys in previous videos that after I finish testing a strop and stropping compound, I'm going to put it up for sale. I really don't want to clean it up and put some new compounds on it. It also gives my subscribers a thing to like pick up once in a while. That's kind of fun for me to do. So let me turn the camera around, I'll show you what they are, and then I'll leave a link in the video description to the place where you can go get them. Okay, here we go. So we have here 4 different compounds that I've tested. This is a 7000 grit or 3.5 micron by Kent Supplies. This here is a 3 micron 8000 grit by Norton, which is really nice. This here is a Herald, or some other, I think, yeah, it's Herald. So Herald Red, which is about 8 to 9000 grit. This here is the Norton 1 micron, which is 14,000 grit equivalent. Really nice stuff. It's a diamond paste, so if you guys have never used a diamond paste, definitely look at Norton's. They're awesome. These were actually sent to me by sharpeningsupplies.com. I will post a link in the video description to their website. You guys can definitely check them out. So these are the 16-inch strops that I have. They're 16 inches by 1.5 wide. Really nice. I made these so that I can strop razors and yanagibas and sushi knives specifically. So they're, you know, so these are pretty much brand new. They've only been used a few times by me. And let me show you the knife that I actually was testing. Are you ready for this? Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Oh, here we go. Check this out. This is the most insane knife I have. It's a 300mm Akizawa Yanagiba Tsurugi. So this is just, this is like a samurai sword, guys. Look at this thing. So beautiful, so perfectly polished. This is actually made by, I believe made and sharpened by Kenichi Shiraki, I believe is the craftsman behind this knife here. But look at this thing. It is so beautifully done. Oh, look at that polish. And that's actually done by a wooden grinding wheel, by the way. And look at that thing. Oh my goodness, it's like a 20,000 grit polish on that thing, maybe even higher. Definitely mirror polish. So I was playing with this knife and trying to replicate that polish, and you know, playing with the back areas. And so I'll give you guys a full conclusion of this video of this polishing session and what stropping compounds I like best. So I was actually using a couple different knives. I was actually stropping this knife here a little bit, and I actually stropped some just regular chef knives that were kind of long. So I will post a video for that very soon and tell you guys my conclusions of these stropping compounds. But this is the knife that I was actually, this is my goal, to replicate this polish here. And I was actually trying to strop this knife and a couple other knives without you ruining their factory polish. And that was kind of a really big thing for me. A lot of folks have been asking about that, and so that's pretty hard to do. These compounds, a couple of them did really well, and again, I'll post a video for that. But I can tell you the Norton 1 micron is an amazing compound. If you guys are looking for a compound and you guys don't really care for the video that I will be posting, go to Sharpening Supplies, look at the Norton 1 micron. It is a fantastic, fantastic stropping compound. So the 8 strops that you have just seen will be up for grabs. There's 1 buffalo and 1 latigo of each. I tested 2 different types of leathers to see how the stropping compounds would actually behave, and the leathers actually do make a pretty big difference. And so again, I'll post a video for that very soon. Yeah, so look for the conclusion video very soon. I will do my best to get the video up for you guys ASAP. These are all up to 1 microns. So you have 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, and 14,000 grit. I will be posting a video series, or actually I'll start recording the higher compounds, the higher grit compounds within a week or 2, or maybe 2 to 3 weeks more likely. And so I'll be testing the DMTs, and those are like 20,000 grit, 40,000 grit, and I think even 80,000 grit. And then I also get a 100,000 grit compound, which I'll be testing as well. But yeah, so I'll have that series hopefully within a month, shot, edited, and uploaded within a month. That's my goal. I can't say that's my promise, but that's my goal. These will be up for grabs, and then hopefully within 3 weeks or so, the demos for the other video, the higher grit compounds, will be up for grabs as well. So just look out for that. I will post a video, letting you guys know when those will be up for sale. All right. Well, that'll be it for this video. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one.